Did you know it's possible to grow multiple types of fruit, like lemons, limes, and oranges, on the same tree, all in one container, right on your patio or balcony? That's right. Through a fascinating technique called grafting, you can literally create your own fruit salad tree in a pot. Crazy, right? If you love fresh fruit but don't have a big backyard orchard, you're in for a treat. Container fruit trees are not only possible, but they can also be incredibly productive if done right. That's the magic we're diving into today. If you find any value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Don't Do This Guide so you can stay updated. Now let's jump right into the juicy details of how to grow fruit trees in containers. Let's dive into why growing fruit trees in containers is such a fantastic idea. First off, space. Not all of us are blessed with sprawling acres of land. Container gardening allows you to transform even the tiniest balconies, patios, or decks into your own personal fruit haven. You can have a thriving citrus tree in a sunny corner, or a bountiful fig tree gracing your doorstep. But it's not just about space. Container gardening gives you incredible control over your growing environment. Alright, now that you're convinced about the awesomeness of container fruit trees, let's talk about choosing the right varieties. Because not all fruit trees are created equal, especially when it comes to container growing. First things first, you'll want to consider your climate. Some fruit trees, like citrus, thrive in warm, sunny environments, while others, like apples and pears, prefer cooler temperatures. Do your research and choose varieties that are well suited to your specific region. Next up, size matters. When you're growing in containers, you'll want to opt for dwarf or semi-dwarf fruit tree varieties. Alright, we've covered the why and the what of container fruit trees. Now let's talk about the where, choosing the perfect containers for your fruit-bearing friends. First and foremost, size matters. You'll want to select containers that are large enough to accommodate the mature size of your fruit trees. Remember, those roots need plenty of room to spread out and support healthy growth. When it comes to material, you've got options. Plastic pots are lightweight and affordable, while terracotta pots offer excellent drainage but can dry out more quickly. Wooden containers add a touch of rustic charm, but may require more maintenance. Ultimately, the best material is the one that suits your style and budget. Alright, let's talk dirt. Or more specifically, the perfect soil mix for your container fruit trees. Because when you're growing in containers, you can't just scoop up some dirt from the backyard and call it a day. Your trees deserve a premium blend that provides the ideal balance of drainage, aeration, and nutrients. So, what's the magic recipe? Well, it's not really magic, but it is a carefully crafted blend of ingredients. You'll want to start with a high-quality potting mix that's specifically formulated for containers. This will provide a good foundation for drainage and aeration. Next, add in some amendments to boost the nutrient content. Now it's time to get our hands dirty and plant some fruit trees. Don't worry, it's not as intimidating as it might seem. Just follow these simple steps and you'll be well on your way to enjoying homegrown fruit in no time. First things first, choose the right time to plant. The best time to plant container fruit trees is in the early spring or fall, when temperatures are cool and the roots have time to establish themselves before the stress of summer heat or winter frost. Now, let's talk about positioning. Fruit trees need plenty of sunlight to thrive, so choose a location that receives at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. South-facing balconies or patios are ideal. Alright, now that your fruit tree is all settled into its new home, let's talk about keeping it happy and hydrated. Watering and fertilizing are essential aspects of container fruit tree care, and mastering these basics will set you up for success. Let's start with watering. Container fruit trees tend to dry out more quickly than those planted in the ground, so it's important to water them regularly, especially during the hot summer months. The key is to water deeply and less frequently. Instead of giving your tree a quick sprinkle every day, water it thoroughly until you see water draining out of the drainage holes. Then, allow the soil to dry out slightly before watering again. To check the moisture level, stick your finger about an inch into the soil. Alright, let's shed some light on the importance of light and temperature for your container fruit trees. Just like us, these trees have their preferences when it comes to soaking up the sun and staying comfortable. First and foremost, fruit trees are sun worshippers. They need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day to produce fruit. South-facing balconies, patios, or decks are ideal locations. If you live in a particularly hot climate, you may need to provide some afternoon shade to prevent your tree from getting scorched. You can use a shade cloth or simply move the container to a shadier spot during the hottest part of the day. Alright, let's talk about the birds and the bees. Or more specifically, the fascinating world of pollination and fruit set in container fruit trees. Because without these essential processes, you won't be enjoying any delicious homegrown fruit. Here's the buzz pollination is the transfer of pollen from the male part of a flower, the stamen, to the female part, the pistil. This process fertilizes the flower, leading to the development of fruit. Some fruit trees are self-pollinating, meaning they can pollinate themselves. However, many others require cross-pollination, which means they need pollen from a different variety of the same type of fruit tree. Now let's talk about giving your container fruit trees a little haircut. In a good way, of course. Pruning and training are essential practices that will keep your trees healthy, productive, and looking their best. Pruning is the removal of dead, damaged, or diseased branches, as well as selective trimming to shape the tree and encourage fruit production. It's best to prune your fruit trees during the dormant season, typically in late winter or early spring, before new growth begins. When pruning, use sharp, clean pruning shears to make clean cuts. Remove any branches that are crossing, rubbing, or growing inward. You can also shorten branches to encourage bushier growth and more fruit production. Next, let's talk about keeping your container fruit trees happy and healthy throughout the year, even when the weather takes a turn for the chilly. Overwintering and seasonal care are essential aspects of container fruit tree gardening, ensuring that your trees thrive year after year. As temperatures begin to drop in the fall, it's time to start preparing your container fruit trees for winter. One of the most important steps is to protect the roots from freezing temperatures. You can do this by moving the containers to a sheltered location, such as a garage or unheated shed, or by wrapping the containers with burlap or bubble wrap for insulation. If you live in a region with mild winters, you may be able to leave your container fruit trees outdoors year-round. However, it's still a good idea to provide some protection from frost and freezing temperatures. Alright, let's face it. Even with the best care, container fruit trees can sometimes fall victim to pesky pests and troublesome diseases. But don't worry. With a little knowledge and proactive action, you can keep these issues at bay and ensure the health of your trees. One of the keys to pest and disease control is early detection. Regularly inspect your fruit trees for any signs of trouble, such as discolored leaves, holes in the foliage, or unusual growths. The sooner you identify a problem, the easier it will be to manage. Some common pests that can affect container fruit trees include aphids, spider mites, scale insects, and fruit flies. These pests can suck sap from leaves, damage fruit, and spread diseases. To control pests, you can use a variety of methods, including insecticidal soap, neem oil, or horticultural oil. We've reached the moment we've all been waiting for, harvesting and enjoying the fruits of your labor. There's nothing quite like biting into a piece of fruit that you've nurtured from tree to table. But how do you know when your fruit is perfectly ripe and ready to pick? Well, it depends on the type of fruit. Some fruits, like apples and pears, will change color as they ripen, while others, like citrus fruits, will soften to the touch. A good rule of thumb is to gently squeeze the fruit. If it gives slightly under pressure, it's probably ripe. You can also smell the fruit. Ripe fruit will have a strong, sweet aroma. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. We hope this Don't Do This guide to growing fruit trees in containers gives you the confidence to start your own little orchard, no matter how tight your space might be. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel Don't Do This Guide. We've got more exciting tips, step-by-step tutorials, and quirky gardening hacks coming up that you won't want to miss. And if you're already a container fruit grower, share your favorite tips or success stories in the comments below. We'd love to learn from your experience too. Thanks again for watching Don't Do This Guide. Stay curious, keep experimenting, and as always, don't do the things we warned you about. See you in the next video.